Thank you very much for joining us and answering few questions. Could you explain us which are the reasons why ISO 45001 is necessary?
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak to you and your delegates at your conference. I'm very honoured and very pleased to explain to you about ISO 45001. This is a standard that is being developed by the International Standards Organization, which has many other standards which are used internationally around the world. We want a standard, ISO 45001, to deliver a standard of performance in an organization that is managing all its health and safety risks, occupational health and safety risks, in such a way that it minimizes the risk of harm to its employees and those affected by its activities. We have something like 2.3 million people killed every year from their exposure at work to work conditions. The American estimate is that it costs the world over nearly $3 trillion a year, and 860,000 accidents are happening, and accidents happening every second. So we need to read 860,000 accidents every day, something like this. So we really need to try and focus on organizations. So there's a moral duty to do it. So that is why we're trying to do this standard here.
Okay. And which are the main differences between ISO 45001 and other previous standards?
Well, we have a number of standards around the world. One of the first ones was written, and I was the chairman of it, for a British standard called BS 8800, and that was a guidance document. And the International Labour Organization produced another guidance document in 2001. Both of those are guidance documents that say this is the sort of thing you should do. They do not necessarily specify the absolute things you must do. And a voluntary specification that talks about you must do this was developed in 1999 called OHSAS 18001. It was not adopted by ISO or any particular standards body, but in 2007 it was updated and got greater recognition. The difference with the new one, above all the others, is that it has exactly the same basic structure as the one for quality and for environmental management produced by ISO. So those organizations that already adopt quality and environmental management can adopt this standard, and it will have a lot of the core things. And this standard very much dominates, more than the other standards, on leadership and commitment. And also it recognizes the very need for active participation of the workers in developing good health and safety within the organization, and the key role they play, and that their role, the parts that they should play in developing the standard. And it has accommodated and adopted those things that the ILO recognize as being important as far as participation and consultation of workers.
Okay. Can you tell us which are the main benefits that comes from adopting ISO 45001?
Well, it's too early to say for certain, because we aren't there yet. But if we manage to produce it and it gets adopted, I can tell you that from the experience with the 18001, where there is probably 150,000 organizations that have adopted that a number of them have seen improved performance on health and safety. They do get commercial benefits. They do get an insurance reduction in some cases, and quite significant reduction in insurance, but basically they end up with less employees being injured, less interruption at work, so that they are more cost efficient, less business disruption, and a very much happier workforce. So those are the sort of things that make it so important. And on top of that, organizations that will get this will get recognition. So organizations, some of the very big organizations in the world, will identify those organizations that have adopted ISO 45001 and will want them to be on their supply chain list. So many big organizations are very good at managing occupational health and safety. Small to medium-sized organizations are not generally so good. But many of those small to medium-sized organizations that want to be successful will adopt 45001, and they will be the preferred supplier to big organizations. And you have some excellent companies in Italy that I know of who actually preach this and do this, and they are very committed to this sort of approach. And I think, I'm hoping that people who adopt 45001 will get business benefit. So that's my principle.
Okay, thank you very much, David.